In opposition, Labour really could not have been clearer. The Conservatives had stolen the pensions of thousands of women born in the 50s who weren't told their retirement age had been raised. The government must give them their money back. Yes, that was you, Angela Rayner, and others, of course. Today, her now Cabinet colleague, the Work and Pensions Secretary, Liz Kendall, did the opposite. She said there would be no compensation, despite the recommendation of an independent ombudsman. Ms Kendall said paying out up to £10 billion would not be fair on taxpayers. That has led to fury among the so-called Waspi women and anger on Labour's own backbenchers. But at least the government is consistent. First, it ended most pensioners' winter fuel payments. Now, another older group, 70-something women, are also losing out.
For almost 10 years, the Waspi women, the Women Against State Pension Inequality, have been on the streets complaining that they weren't given enough notice that their state pension age was rising from 60 to 65 and then 66. They wanted an apology. They got that today.
We accept that the 28-month delay in sending out letters was maladministration, and on behalf of the government, I apologise.
But they also wanted something more important, financial compensation. They were told no.
There should be no scheme of financial compensation to 1950s-born women in response to the Ombudsman's report.
So why no money?
The government does not believe paying a flat rate to all women at a cost of up to £10.5 billion would be a fair or proportionate use of taxpayers' money.
The claim for compensation was on behalf of 3.8 million women born in the 1950s. They believed they were owed £10,000 each. And the regulator, the Ombudsman, agreed they suffered unnecessary stress and anxiety and unnecessary confusion. The Ombudsman recommended lower compensation, however, of between £1,000 and £2,950. But the Waspi women haven't even got that. Carolyn Lana explains the hardship she suffered.
First of all, you think you're leading up to retirement and you've got all these plans, and then suddenly you find you've got to work another 6 years.
So why does Carolyn think the government has let her down?
I just think it shows how they have little care or interest for women who were born in the 50s, who probably bought them up and did everything for them, and they have no interest in the people of this country.
That's not what Starmer and his deputy Angela Rayner used to say when they weren't in government.
It's a real injustice, and we need to do something about it, Carol, because that wasn't the base upon which you paid in. That wasn't the basis upon which you were working. We've got a government that has basically put its fingers in its ears, as far as I can see, in relation to this.
We will compensate them for the money that they've lost. This is their money that they've had stolen off them.
Also, it's highly unusual for a government to reject what the Ombudsman proposes, says Becky Long-Bailey, who challenged Starmer to be Labour leader but has since been thrown out of the Parliamentary Labour Party for criticising his welfare policy.
Usually a government would accept the recommendations of an ombudsman, and it's only happened twice in the last 50 or so years where that hasn't been the case. So we hope that the government revisits this issue, because these women have been really disastrously affected by the lack of communication over their state pension ages. Many women lost their homes and faced destitution as a result.
Starmer has upset the farmers by changing inheritance tax and all pensioners by means testing winter fuel payments. But by taking on the Waspi women, he just may have bitten off more than he can chew.
And Robert is here to talk about all this. Look, we've talked about this a million times. Labour cannot claim that they did not know the state of the public finances when they took over. And whether this is the right or the wrong decision, the fact is it's another example of saying one thing in opposition and doing another in government. And surely that undermines people's faith in government.
So this issue of trust, which Keir Starmer says is so important to him, the fact that so many British people have lost confidence in all elected politicians, as you say, is further undermined, by hearing the kind of things Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner said in opposition. We just played them back in my piece. You contrast them basically saying the Waspi women have been dealt this serious, unjust blow and we, Labour, will put it right. And then today, the Work and Pensions Secretary says they will not get a penny. And, as Becky Long-Bailey says in the piece, it's highly unusual for any government to reject the recommendation of the Parliamentary and Health Ombudsman. And the Ombudsman was in no doubt that compensation of up to almost £3,000 was merited. Now, to give the government its due, even though we said night after night before the election there was a black hole, something like £40 billion, to give the government its due, they should have recognised it then. But it is true, there is no money, and they are now facing up to some very, very
we must have told the audience
difficult
of this programme about 6 million times.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but there is not enough money in the kitty, and they do have to make these difficult choices. I think what many people can't get their heads round, however, is how it is that so soon after a general election, they seem to have come up with almost no good news about anything, right? The economy may be in recession, partly, many people think, because they've been talking it down. And I'm just wondering, given all the bad news before Christmas, what are they going to announce for Christmas? That all puppies and kittens are going to be drowned? I mean, you couldn't really make it up.